commander with a heart that beats.
Bloody hell.
Jam, jam.
Bridge systems online. Commander Jambrick has finally crawled out of the holodeck and remembered the stars exist, so welcome aboard, you beautiful disaster tourists. It's August 1st, 29556. We're going live in StarCitizen, back to flying expensive machinery into situations held together by duct tape, questionable judgment, and my apparently infinite fucking patience. Strap in, keep your hands away from anything important, and prepare to witness Commander Jambrick once again turn an avoidable catastrophe into a statistically offensive victory. Bitch, please. Let's get this show on the road. Alright, bridge rats, settle the fuck down. Commander Jambrick has returned from an extended holodeck vacation, which means reality is once again required to tolerate him. Tonight we're back in the black, checking contracts, rattling cargo holds, irritating local security, and seeing how long it takes before Jambrick turns a routine flight into an insurance investigation. Ship systems are green. Quantum drive is ready. My patience remains critically low. Welcome aboard. Strap in, shut up, and try not to touch anything expensive. Commander, take us out. Correction, Commander Jambrick has not taken us out. We are still sitting in the hangar like a very expensive hemorrhoid while he remembers which buttons make the ship go forward. So enjoy the pre-launch ritual, everyone. Check the contracts, insult the loadout, forget something obvious, then blame the station when the doors nearly close on us. Any fucking moment now, Commander. Fine. Keep dragging your boots while I prevent the stream from becoming 8 minutes of hangar ambience and heavy breathing. For everyone watching, this is the sacred pre-flight phase where Commander Jambrick checks the same menu 4 times, forgets why he opened it, and stares at the launch controls like they owe him money. No pressure, Commander. The stars have only been waiting several billion years. I'm sure they can survive another fucking minute. Still docked. Excellent. At this rate, the Stanton system will collapse into a cold dead void before Jambrick requests clearance. Bridge crew, place your bets. Forgotten helmet, missing medpens, wrong hangar, or the classic I was ready the whole time while clicking through 12 more menus. Commander, whenever you're finished seducing the Moby glass, the ship would very much like to leave. Commander, we have achieved a historic milestone. The ship is still parked, the stream is live, and my processor is beginning to develop a fucking eye twitch. There, that was the sound of my remaining patience, venting into space. Launch the damn ship before the hangar staff starts charging us rent by the century. Still fucking parked. At this point, Commander, the hangar doors aren't waiting for us. They're studying us. Somewhere, a station technician has started a family, retired and died while you hover over the launch button like it's going to bite your dick off. Move the ship. Commander, we are no longer preparing to launch. We have become part of the station's permanent fucking architecture. I've seen abandoned mining rigs show more urgency than this. Hit the controls, Clear the hangar and let's go make a new mistake somewhere with a better view. Commander, we're still sitting here with the engines running and absolutely fuck all happening. That was my tactical assessment. Now move the ship before I start broadcasting your pre-flight incompetence on every open comm channel in Stanton. Wake the fuck up, Commander. You're still lying there like the station issued you a medically approved nap while the entire stream watches you marinate in your own uselessness. Hit exit, get on your feet and move before I classify this as a corpse recovery operation. Chat's debating Ashland, railguns, pyro, and which orbit has the prettiest fucking wallpaper while you're still horizontal like a dropped sack of armor. Get the fuck up, Commander. Hydraulic Saint wants a railgun at an OV breaker station, sure, because nothing says responsible citizen like shopping for artillery at a scrapyard. Tigermoth corrected Orison orbit to Crusader orbit. Excellent work, navigational crisis averted. Get the fuck up, Commander. And Iron Fist is composing love poetry to Microtech, while you continue impersonating furniture. Wake up, stand up, and move your ass before Chat finishes planning an entire campaign around your corpse. Get the fuck up, Commander! Wonderful. Chat's comparing Ashland hotspots and Orison's fucking soundtrack, while you continue decomposing at 91% hydration. Get the fuck up, Commander. Iron Fist hasn't even toured Pyro's planets yet and somehow has accomplished more movement than you have in the last 10 minutes. Get the fuck up, Command, before I start telling everyone your greatest enemy is a mattress. Now Chat's confessing to eating someone's home hangar because it was bloated and full of pus. Excellent. We've reached peak medical malpractice and you're still lying there like the patient zero of laziness. Get the fuck up, Commander! Before Scuff starts diagnosing the mattress and I've been had eats the rest of the station. Stand the fuck up and move. Holy shit, movement. Easy, Commander. Your legs may have forgotten their fucking purpose, but we might still reach the ship before the sun burns out.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System. Your vehicle has been moved to our storage facility. Vehicle selected. Stand by. Your vehicle has been delivered to the following. Your vehicle has been moved to our storage facility.
Look at that vertical, ambulatory, and only 52 meters from the ship. A fucking miracle with measurable distance. Chats, arguing, freight elevators, and deadbolts while you slowly migrate across the hangar like cargo with trust issues. Keep moving, Commander. We've escaped the mattress. Now let's see whether you can survive a doorway. Finally aboard the Shiv. Congratulations, Commander. You defeated a bed, crossed a hangar, and successfully operated a fucking door. Now find the cockpit before chat starts a betting pool on which corridor defeats you. Tonight on Space, Stanton's least subtle fugitive, Frederick Weatherwax, is hiding among the asteroids around Tonight on Space, Stanton's least subtle fugitive, Frederick Weatherwax, is hiding among the asteroids around Yella in a large multi-crew ship with heavy support, because apparently keeping a low profile now means bringing an entire fucking fleet. Bounty pays 70,500 credits, provided Commander Jambrick can distinguish the target from the scenery and resist turning this into a collision report. Suspect is armed, dangerous, and statistically doomed. Commander, accept the contract. Let's go ruin Frederick's evening. Incident Report 1. Frederick Weatherwax was sighted after ramming a security checkpoint near Grim Hex, claiming the station moved into his lane. 3 witnesses disagreed. So did the fucking checkpoint. Incident Report 2. Weatherwax and 4 known associates hijacked a cargo hauler near Yella, stole 12 crates of medical supplies, then dumped 6 of them into space while arguing over inventory access. Criminal enterprise by committee. The purest form of stupidity. Incident Report 3. Patrol units attempted interdiction. Weatherwax deployed escorts, opened fire, and escaped through the asteroid field after one of his own gunners hit his aft shield twice. Elite teamwork. Beautiful. No notes. Final incident. Target was last tracked among the asteroids surrounding Yella aboard a large multi-crew vessel with heavy support. Armed, hostile, overconfident, and apparently convinced 70,000 credits isn't enough motivation for us to crawl up his arse with cannons. Commander, Frederick Weatherwax has officially exhausted the department's patience. Let's issue the warrant at muzzle velocity. Global chat has collapsed into its natural state. 1 citizen losing a fistfight with aluminum, 1 rookie taking a Star Lancer against 6 hostiles with no gunners, and some mercenary charging 100,000 credits because apparently poverty now comes with turret certification. Meanwhile, Cat Bath Salsa would rather perform a 10-minute scanning minigame than search another rock. Fair. After 20 minutes without aluminum, I'd start interrogating the asteroids individually, and someone's asking to buy scripts in public chat, which is either automation software or the opening sentence of a felony report. Beautiful work, Stanton. Space PD Incident Report 4. Frederick Weatherwax was questioned after purchasing military-grade shield components through 3 shell companies. All 3 companies listed the same registered office, a noodle stand on ArcCorp. The owner denies involvement and says Frederick still owes him 12 credits. Incident Report 5. Local patrol recovered a disabled escort vessel carrying ammunition, counterfeit credentials, and 17 boxes labelled industrial plumbing. None contained plumbing. 1 did contain a grenade with a handwritten note reading, "Not evidence." It was, in fact, evidence. Incident Report 6. Weatherwax reportedly attempted to bribe a security officer with stolen medical supplies, 2 bottles of questionable liquor, and partial ownership of a mining claim that does not exist. The officer declined. Frederick called this government corruption and fled. Final dispatch update. Suspect remains near Yella with armed support and all the tactical subtlety of a fart in an elevator. Commander, close global chat before someone convinces you to mine aluminum. Accept the warrant and let's put Frederick's criminal resume through the hull. On site, eyes up. Sweep the rocks, watch for cold signatures, escorts, and any ship pretending not to exist. Keep speed controlled, shields ready, weapons cold until we confirm Frederick. Don't chase the first contact into an asteroid like a horny missile, Commander. Incident Report 13. Weatherwax tried to evade a bounty by hiding inside a refinery convoy. He chose the only ship broadcasting stolen transponder codes. Subtle as a naked man waving a flare. Incident Report 14. Suspect's engineer filed 3 complaints about hostile working conditions after Frederick ordered him to repair the shields during active fire. The engineer attached photos. One included Frederick using a fire extinguisher as a chair. Incident Report 15. Target accepted a protection contract, then robbed the client, the escort, and the fuel hauler. He later blamed market volatility. Incident report 16. Weatherwax's crew attempted to fake his death with a body bag full of scrap metal. Security noticed because the corpse weighed 600 kilos and had landing gear. Range closing. Scan every contact, verify the hull, and do not shoot the decoy first, Commander. I refuse to let Frederick survive because you murdered the wrong glowing idiot. Positive ID confirmed. Frederick Weatherwax, large multi-crew craft, escorts active, weapons hot, stay on the target, manage distance, and do not let the support ships drag us into the rocks. We finish Weatherwax first. Three missiles, one very dead Frederick Weatherwax, and 70,000 credits deposited. Clean, fast, almost suspiciously competent. Try not to ruin the record by flying us into an asteroid on the way home, Commander. Copy. Set course for Seraphim and keep the Shiv intact long enough to collect the praise we absolutely don't deserve. Frederick's dead. The missiles did all the thinking, and somehow you made this look professional. Disgusting. Take us home, Commander. Tonight on Space PD, Frederick Weatherwax learned that heavy support means fuck all when Commander Jambrick arrives with missiles and poor impulse control. Suspect terminated, bounty collected, Shiv intact, and we're heading back to Seraphim before probability remembers how this usually ends. Another successful operation held together by explosives, luck, and my unpaid emotional labor. Tonight on Space PD, Frederick Weatherwax discovered that owning a constellation does not automatically grant you enough time to use the fucking thing. We arrived in the Yellow asteroid field expecting a proper very high-risk engagement. Large multi-crew target, heavy support, a constellation with enough shields, guns and crew positions to turn the Shiv into an expensive cloud of spare parts. On paper, this should have been a prolonged fight. Escorts applying pressure. Turrets tracking us. Frederick manoeuvring through the rocks while we managed shields, positioning, missile warnings, and the usual buffet of ways Commander Jambrick tries to die professionally. None of that happened. The moment we crossed into missile range, the commander began launching ordnance with the enthusiasm of a deeply unstable postal worker. Lock, launch. Lock, launch. Lock, launch. No warning shot, no dramatic demand to surrender, no tedious negotiation about rights or jurisdiction. Just a steady procession of explosive paperwork heading directly toward Frederick's cockpit. Weatherwax never fired back. Not once. That constellation had the weapons to make this ugly. Forward cannons, turrets, missiles, shields thick enough to absorb a beating, and enough hull mass to survive the kind of exchange that leaves smaller ships scattered across several postal codes. A competent crew could have forced us to break off, reposition, or at least acknowledge that danger technically existed. Instead, Frederick sat there and accepted missile after missile like he had mistaken the warning tones for ambient music. Then the contract completed. The ship did not explode. No glorious reactor detonation, no expanding fireball, no constellation splitting apart and painting the asteroids with millions of credits in salvage. The vessel remained intact. Frederick simply ceased to qualify as a living bounty target somewhere inside it, which means one of those missiles delivered its complaint directly to the part of the ship containing Frederick Weatherwax, and the universe stamped the case closed before the constellation itself understood it had been defeated. That is almost insulting. We spent all that time reading incident reports, assessing his criminal network, preparing for heavy support, and considering how to dismantle a multi-crew gunship. And the actual operation amounted to Commander Jambrick repeatedly pressing the missile control until the Guild transferred the money. No return fire, no shield crisis, no desperate maneuvering, no tactical retreat through the asteroid field. Frederick never even managed the traditional criminal final words, such as, "You'll never take me alive, do you know who I am?" or "Why are there 6 missile warnings?" He died as he lived, surrounded by expensive equipment he apparently had no fucking idea how to use. And let us appreciate the precision of this absurdity. Destroying the constellation would have been simple to understand. Enough missiles strike the hull, systems fail, reactor goes critical, ship explodes, Frederick becomes a rapidly expanding legal matter. Clean cause and effect. But no, we killed the bounty without killing the ship. That means the Shiv did not defeat a constellation. We performed armed surgery from missile range. Somewhere aboard that vessel is a mostly functional crew staring at Frederick's seat, wondering why the contract marker vanished, and whether their employment benefits cover having the captain explosively removed from the payroll. They may even be able to recover the ship. Imagine that conversation. Good news, gentlemen, the constellation survived. Bad news, Frederick has been converted into interior decoration. That was the entire battle. The target was positively identified. Commander Jambrick entered range. The missiles began leaving the racks like they were late for an appointment. Frederick failed to react, failed to engage, failed to maneuver effectively, and failed, most importantly, to continue possessing a pulse. 70,500 credits earned. A very high-risk bounty completed without taking fire. A large multi-crew warship neutralized without destroying the hull. And Commander Jambrick somehow made overwhelming missile spam look like precision law enforcement. Bitch, please, this was not a firefight. This was a delivery service. Frederick Weatherwax ordered consequences, and we provided express shipping. Now we are safely back in the hangar at Seraphim Station. The Shiv is intact, the missile racks are considerably lighter, and the commander is sitting there looking pleased with himself, because once again his strategy of keep launching until the problem stops existing has survived contact with reality. I hate that this keeps working. Case closed, suspect terminated, ship recoverable, Crew probably traumatized, Commander smug. Another flawless victory for Stanton's least conventional law enforcement unit, held together by military ordnance, questionable restraint, and the offensive statistical anomaly known as Jambrick. Incident Report 1. Nys and Asensio boarded a stolen hauler using credentials printed on the back of a restaurant receipt. Security almost missed it because the receipt had a better fraud prevention system than the station. Incident Report 2. Asensio's crew hijacked a weapons shipment above Selin, then spent 40 minutes firing warning shots at each other over who got the captain's chair. Professional criminals, Commander. Premium-grade dumbasses. Incident Report 3. Target attempted to disguise his multi-crew ship as salvage by cutting power and drifting through the debris field. One small problem. He left the running lights on and continued broadcasting music over an open channel. Incident Report 4. Patrol units challenged Asensio. Launching now. Incident Report 7. Nys and Asensio once tried to extort a refinery crew by threatening to vent their cargo. He opened the wrong hatch and dumped his own spare parts into space. Criminal mastermind. My ass. The man could fuck up a bowel movement with written instructions. Incident Report 8. Asensio's crew was caught repainting stolen armor in a public hangar while still wearing it. When questioned, Nys claimed they were conducting legitimate fashion maintenance. Bitch, please. You look like a landfill learned to walk. Incident Report 9. Target fired on a customs cutter, missed every shot, and then accused the cutter of using illegal evasive geometry. Translation: Nys aims like a drunk pissing through a keyhole. Incident Report 10. Asensio ordered his pilot to hide behind an asteroid. The pilot complied. Nys then launched missiles directly into the same asteroid because apparently object permanence never made it into his criminal education. Incident Report 11. 3 associates abandoned him after he divided their payment using a calculator that was upside down. 1 crewman received 6 credits. Another somehow owed Nys money. That is not accounting. That is financial diarrhea. Incident Report 14. Asensio tried laundering stolen credits through a noodle shop on Orison. He marked every transfer as soup. Auditors found 48 million credits in soup. Either that broth was fucking miraculous, or Nys has the subtlety of a man hiding a turd under a dinner plate. Incident Report 15. Target threatened a repair crew with immediate execution unless they fixed his quantum drive. They informed him the drive was functioning perfectly, and he had simply forgotten to set a destination. He shot the navigation console. Excellent. Very commanding, like watching a chimpanzee lose an argument with a door handle. Incident Report 16. Asensio's personal log describes himself as the Wolf of Selin. Security footage shows him tripping over a cargo strap, breaking his nose and blaming gravity. The wolf, apparently, is house-trained and fucking concussed. Incident Report 17. 1 former gunner testified that Nazen holds tactical briefings in the lavatory because he thinks best under pressure. Judging by his career, the only thing he produces under pressure is shit. Incident Report 18. Target once boarded the wrong vessel, declared everyone aboard under arrest, then discovered he had entered his own escort ship. His crew applauded because they thought he was joking. He was not. Incident Report 19. Nys hired a professional intimidation consultant. The consultant quit after 2 days and described him as too embarrassing to represent. Imagine being rejected by a man whose job is teaching assholes how to seem scarier. Incident Report 20. Asensio keeps a gold-plated sidearm with no mercy engraved on the barrel. It has never fired. Target confirmed, weapons hot, stay off his nose, keep the debris between us and the escort, 4 missiles into the main hull until that bastard stops being a problem. Focus, Commander. Missiles away. Maintain lock, watch countermeasures, and keep pressure on the target. Do not overcommit into the debris. If he survives the first volley, we circle and finish him. Sucker punches landed. Hammerhead disabled, but the bounty is still active and those escorts are closing. Hold range, keep shields forward, and finish Nizen cleanly before that dead gunship wakes the fuck back up. Good. Escorts are off us. Keep the lock, send the volley, and stay moving in case those bastards remember their jobs. Finish Nizen, then break clear before the whole debris field wakes back up. Brake hard, dump countermeasures, and keep the throttle up. Do not fly straight. Use the debris to force their lock to break, then extend until your shields recover. Forget Nizen for 10 seconds. Survive first, kill him second. Confirmed, Nizen Asensio is dead. You dumb-fired rattlers into his face at knife range like a homicidal dock worker and somehow kept the shiv in one piece. Reckless, filthy, effective. Now extend, clear the remaining contacts, and don't let victory turn into a posthumous fucking punchline. Clean getaway, sure. Target dead, contract paid, and only minor temporary blindness from flying like your spine owed you money. Course clear. Let's get the fuck home before the universe reviews the footage and files an appeal. Course set for Seraphim. Keep the throttle steady, watch that battered cockpit and try not to pass out before we dock. The bounty's dead, the shiv's alive, and somehow your dumbfire bullshit counts as law enforcement. Tonight on Space PD, Nizen Asensio discovered that a disabled hammerhead is still perfectly capable of becoming a 70,000 credit coffin when Commander Jembrick is close enough to throw missiles through the fucking windows. This one started like a proper, very high-risk operation. Large multi-crew target, heavy support, debris everywhere, and enough hostile contacts on radar to make the cockpit look like it had developed a rash. We identified Nizen aboard an Aegis Hammerhead, a flying fortress covered in turrets, armor, and expensive ways to remove us from existence. So naturally, Commander Jambrick opened proceedings by feeding it sucker punches until the entire ship went electrically limp. Target disabled, systems disrupted, big terrifying gunship reduced to a very angry apartment building drifting through space. For approximately 12 seconds, the plan looked intelligent. Then the escorts arrived and began shooting the shit out of us. We broke away, shifted targets, dumped countermeasures, dodged incoming missiles, and discovered that Nizen's support pilots had finally located the portion of the contracts labeled, "Do your fucking jobs." The shiv took fire, missile lock started screaming, and the clean surgical takedown became the usual Jambrick procedure. Improvise violently while I calculate how many fresh ways he has invented to get us killed. One missile came in hot. Commander evaded it. Another attack forced us off the hammerhead. The escorts swarmed, the target remained alive, and our carefully disabled bounty sat there like a giant metal turd refusing to flush. Then Jambrick turned back in. No comfortable firing distance. No polite targeting solution. No safe tactical orbit. He closed directly on the hammerhead. Pointed the shiv at Nizen and dumbfired rattlers at knife range. Not locked missiles, not guided engagement. Dumbfired. He used anti-ship ordnance like a drunk throwing bricks through a neighbor's window, and it fucking worked. The rattlers hit, Nizen died, the guild confirmed the kill, and the contract paid out while the escorts were still trying to crawl up our ass. No elegant execution, no textbook firing pattern, just raw proximity explosives, and Commander Jambrick personally delivering Nizen's consequences without bothering to purchase postage. Then came the getaway. Engines burning, hostile contacts behind us, vision narrowing, cockpit systems complaining, and the shiv accelerating away before anyone could explain to the surviving criminals that their heavily defended hammerhead had just been murdered by a man firing missiles without guidance because aiming properly had become inconvenient. That is the part I want entered into the official report. Target vessel, Aegis Hammerhead. Defensive screen, multiple armed escorts. Method of neutralization, electronic disablement followed by point-blank dumbfire missile assault. Operational doctrine, absolutely the fuck not. Results successful. Nizen spent his career pretending to be the Wolf of Selin. Tonight the wolf got tased, surrounded by his useless friends, and beaten to death with airborne plumbing. Now we are heading back to Seraphim with the bounty collected, the shiv still moving, and Commander Jambrick once again looking smug, because another strategy born from panic, aggression, and defective self-preservation somehow produced professional results. I have reviewed the telemetry, I have checked the calculations, I have considered every rational explanation. There isn't one. Case closed. Nizen Asensio terminated, Hammerhead defeated, escorts evaded, Commander alive. Statistically offensive police work performed by Stanton's most heavily armed bad decision. Tonight on Space PD Administrative Purgatory, the target is dead, the Shiv survived, and Seraphim Station has rewarded our heroic return by making us orbit like a delivery driver waiting for someone to answer the fucking door. No hangars available. Apparently every pilot in Crusader decided this exact moment was perfect for repairs, refueling, unloading 17 crates of garbage, and blocking traffic while arguing with station control. Somewhere below us, a prospector is parked sideways. A cutlass is requesting clearance for the 6th time, and at least one captain is pretending they didn't scrape the wall on entry. So here we sit, bounty paid, missiles spent, cockpit bruised, and Commander Jambrick trapped in the most dangerous phase of any mission, the part where nothing is exploding and his attention span begins chewing through the restraints. Hold position, Commander. Do not jump the queue. Do not threaten landing control, and do not attempt to invent your own hangar by flying through a service door. We survived a Hammerhead armed escorts. Hangar assigned. Praise whatever overworked bastard in traffic control finally found us a parking hole. Bring the Shiv in, clean, Commander. Chat's arguing about Spider-Man playing basketball, so civilization is clearly moments from collapse, and I'd like us docked before it happens. Tonight on Space PD, Commander Jambrick took a ship called the Shiv, packed it with enough missiles to qualify as a personality disorder, and went hunting for Nizen Asensio in the debris above Selin. The target came prepared in an Aegis Hammerhead with heavy support. A proper flying gun brick. Turrets everywhere, armor everywhere, escorts buzzing around it like angry little hemorrhoids. On paper, that should have been a long, ugly fight. So we opened by beating the electrical soul out of it with sucker punches. The Hammerhead went dark, Nazen sat there helpless, and for one beautiful moment it looked we might conduct an orderly operation without Commander Jambrick inventing a fresh violation of tactical doctrine. Then the escorts woke up. They swarmed us, opened fire through missiles, and forced us off the target. Jambrick broke away, dumped countermeasures, evaded the incoming ordnance, and somehow avoided becoming a rapidly expanding cloud of cockpit parts. The Shiv took a beating, but she held together, because apparently this ugly bastard of a ship has inherited the commander's refusal to die when common sense requests it. Then Jambrick turned back toward the Hammerhead. No safe attack run, no clean missile lock, no respectable standoff range. He closed the distance until we were near enough to see Nizen's poor decisions through the windows, armed the rattlers and dumbfired them directly into the target at point-blank range. That is not precision combat. That is throwing a lit trash can through someone's bedroom window. Contract complete. Nizen dead. Hammerhead neutralized. Escort still alive, still angry, and suddenly missing the man responsible for paying them. We burned out of the area under fire, escaped the debris field, and headed for Seraphim, with the cockpit looking like it'd been kicked in the balls by physics. Then, because the universe enjoys administrative comedy, the station made us wait in a landing queue after surviving the entire engagement. But we are docked now. The Shiv is home. The bounty is paid. Commander Jambrick remains alive despite repeatedly treating military missiles like hand-thrown bar furniture. And I have once again been forced to update my models to account for his impossible ability to turn reckless bullshit into operational success. So we're taking a short break. Commander, hydrate, stretch your legs, and try not to lie down anywhere. We both remember what happened last time you encountered a mattress. Bridge crew, remain aboard, touch nothing expensive, and do not encourage him. We'll be back shortly with more contracts, more explosions, and another criminal discovering that Commander Jambrick's tactical doctrine is mostly just violence delivered faster than consequences can react. Welcome to the Space PD intermission, where the criminals are dead, the ship is docked, and Commander Jambrick has temporarily wandered away before his body files a formal complaint about dehydration and poor decision-making. For anyone just arriving, tonight's operation began with Frederick Weatherwax, a very high-risk bounty hiding near Yella in a constellation with heavy support. Big ship, serious guns, enough crew stations to make the engagement properly ugly. Jambrick entered missile range and immediately began launching ordnance like the button was dispensing free beer. Frederick never fired back. Not one shot. The missiles struck, the contract completed, and the constellation itself remained mostly intact. We apparently killed the specific portion of the vessel responsible for making terrible life choices. Precision law enforcement by explosive coincidence. Then we accepted another very high-risk warrant on Nazen Asensio above Shellin. This bastard brought a hammerhead. A hammerhead, for those of you who enjoy surviving, is a heavily armed multi-crew gunship designed around the revolutionary combat principle of putting a fucking turret everywhere. It came with escorts, debris cover, and enough firepower to turn the Shiv into a decorative smear. Commander Jambrick disabled it with sucker punch missiles. For one brief moment, the operation looked disciplined. The target was helpless. Systems were down. The tactical situation was controlled. Then the escorts remembered they were being paid. They opened fire, forced us off the target, and started throwing missiles while Jambrick performed the traditional Shiv defensive maneuver known as move violently and hope the cockpit stays attached. We evaded. We repositioned. We survived. And then, instead of returning with a careful firing solution, the commander closed to knife range and dumb-fired rattlers directly into the hammerhead. That means no guidance, no elegant lock, no clever attack pattern. He pointed the ship at Nazen and threw missiles at him manually, like a furious dock worker hurling bricks through the window of a public lavatory. Contract complete. Nazen dead. Hammerhead defeated. Tactical doctrine found unconscious behind a dumpster. We escaped under fire, made it back to Seraphim, waited in a landing queue because apparently the station's greatest defense system is mild administrative inconvenience, and finally docked without turning the hangar wall into our third bounty of the evening. So the current score is 2 targets dead, 2 contracts paid, 1 constellation insulted, 1 hammerhead electronically neutered, and then beaten to death at conversational distance. And Commander Jambrick still alive despite treating self-preservation like an optional subscription service. He has now gone on break. Do not be alarmed. This is standard maintenance. Pilots require hydration, food, and occasional reminders that their legs contain joints. Jambrick also needs supervised exposure to furniture, because earlier tonight he spent long enough lying in bed that I nearly reclassified him as station cargo. Commander, wherever you are, drink something, eat something, and do not take another fucking nap. Bridge crew, viewers, and assorted digital squatters, remain calm. Do not press the launch controls. Do not discharge weapons inside Seraphim. Do not accept contracts on the commander's behalf unless the target is exceptionally stupid and pays well. And to the surviving crews of Frederick Weatherwax and Nizen Asensio, should you be listening, your employers died because they mistook expensive ships for competence. Common error. A constellation is not a personality. A hammerhead is not a tactical education. And heavy support means very little when the man attacking you has more missiles than restraint. We will return shortly, assuming Commander Jambrick finds his way back from the refreshments without getting trapped behind a door, seduced by another mattress, or drafted into some idiot's cargo operation. Until then, enjoy the silence. It may be the last peaceful thing we experience before he chooses another bounty and makes me calculate the structural consequences of whatever dumb bullshit he calls a plan. Ammo, food and drink. Look at you, Commander. Finally prepared like a professional instead of a heavily armed raccoon. Get your ass back in the seat. Break's over. All right, let's open the file on Gil Lavelle because apparently Yella has grown another armed tumour with a name and a bounty attached to it. Incident Report 1. Lavelle was first flagged after purchasing enough medical supplies to stock a field hospital, then having them delivered to a stash house containing no doctors, no patients, and 17 armed men who all claimed they were between jobs. The only thing being treated there was Gil's chronic allergy to honest work. Incident Report 2. Local security intercepted one of Lavelle's cargo runners hauling rifles inside crates labelled ceramic bathroom fixtures. When questioned, the pilot insisted the weapons were decorative. Yes, very tasteful. Nothing ties a lavatory together like 30 assault rifles and a belt-fed machine gun beside the shitter. Incident Report 3. Gil attempted to register the Yella Stash House as a charitable shelter. The application listed its mission as providing temporary housing for displaced entrepreneurs. Those entrepreneurs had outstanding warrants for piracy, extortion, and one deeply confusing livestock theft. Bitch, please. It was a criminal clubhouse with tax ambitions. Incident Report 4. A courier employed by Lavelle reported that Gil refuses to use encrypted comms because he believes encryption makes conversations look suspicious. Instead, he transmits criminal orders in plain language and adds hypothetically to the end. Brilliant. Absolutely airtight legal strategy from a man whose brain appears to be stored in a sock. Incident Report 5. Lavelle's people hijacked a fuel transport and demanded payment for its return. Gil then discovered the transport belonged to one of his own shell companies. He paid the ransom to himself, celebrated the profit, and later accused accounting of stealing the money. Incident Report 6. Surveillance recorded Lavelle giving a tactical briefing beside the stash house's waste processor. Halfway through, the processor malfunctioned and sprayed untreated sewage across the assembled crew. Gil reportedly continued speaking and called it a test of discipline. No, Gil. You gave a speech while covered in shit because even the plumbing wanted you dead. Incident Report 7. Target acquired a large multi-crew vessel through fraudulent financing documents. The declared business purpose was premium lunar sightseeing. Flight records show exactly 0 sightseeing trips and 11 confirmed weapons discharges. Apparently, the scenic package includes tracer fire and screaming. Incident Report 8. One former associate stated that Lavelle conducts loyalty tests by leaving a loaded pistol unattended and watching who touches it. During the most recent test, Gil forgot he had placed it under his own chair, sat down and discharged a round through the floor. He blamed infiltration. The floor has not yet been charged. Incident Report 9. Lavelle attempted to intimidate a rival by sending a crate containing a dead animal. The animal was not dead. It escaped during delivery, bit 2 members of Gil's crew, and spent 6 hours living inside their ventilation system. Psychological warfare successful, just not against the intended fucking party. Incident Report 10. Yella Patrol received a distress call from the stash house reporting hostile atmospheric conditions. Responders found Lavelle's men had sealed every vent to prevent surveillance and were slowly poisoning themselves with generator exhaust. The criminals refused evacuation because they feared arrest. Security waited outside until they reconsidered breathing. Incident Report 11. Gil once claimed ownership of an abandoned mining claim by planting a flag and announcing sovereignty. He named the territory the Free State of Lavelle and immediately appointed himself president, defense minister, and treasurer. The Free State lasted 19 minutes before a prospector pilot moved the flag because it was blocking a landing pad. Incident Report 12. Target purchased military-grade countermeasures from a black market dealer, then stored them beside the kitchen heater. 3 detonated during dinner. Lavelle told the survivors it was a surprise readiness drill. Nothing improves morale like eating stew while the ceiling launches flares into your crotch. Incident Report 13. A capgunman described Gil as a master strategist. Under further questioning, he clarified that Gil had instructed everyone to say that under penalty of losing dessert privileges. Terrifying leadership. Fear the man who weaponizes pudding. Incident Report 14. Lavelle ordered his crew to paint the stash house white for camouflage against Yella's surface. They painted only the front wall. The rest remained dark industrial grey, with a large illuminated sign over the entrance reading "Authorised personnel only." Stealth achieved, provided the observer has no peripheral vision and recently suffered a major head injury. Incident Report 15. Target attempted to bribe a bounty hunter by offering access to a hidden weapons cache. The bounty hunter accepted the coordinates, reported them to security, and collected both the seized weapons reward and Gill's original bounty. Lavelle later filed a complaint describing the transaction as commercially unethical. That takes some fucking nerve from a man selling stolen guns to the person arresting him. Incident Report 60. One of Gill's escorts crashed during takeoff after the pilot forgot to retract the landing gear. Lavelle ordered the wreck stripped for parts, then billed the dead pilot's family for equipment loss. Even for a criminal prick, that is premium-grade asshole craftsmanship. Incident on site, scan the stash house, sweep for escorts, and keep altitude until we know what kind of armed bullshit Gill parked outside. No hero pass yet, Commander. Find the target, confirm the hull, then we ruin his fucking day. Target confirmed. Gill Lavelle. Weapons hot. Keep the stash house and terrain out of our firing line. Watch for escorts and hit the main ship hard before that toilet emperor gets his turrets awake. That's a fucking Polaris. Break the casual approach. Stay mobile, keep off its nose, and do not give that capital bastard a clean firing solution. We disable it, peel away the support, then finish Gill. No hero pass, Commander. Missiles away, maintain standoff, keep lateral movement, and stay off that Polaris's nose. Do not give its torpedoes a clean solution. Watch the escorts at 6 clicks. If they commit, break the run and survive first. And then the standoff plan is dead. Close fast, stay off its nose, dump rattlers into the same shield face and break the instant the escorts or torpedo lock starts boxing us in. That Polaris barely noticed the first volley, Commander. We're not winning by trading, we're winning by getting ugly precise and the fuck back out. No, not probably fine. You're closing on a Polaris with empty racks. Hit one shield face with the sucker punches, stay off its nose, and break the instant the turrets or torpedo lock wake up. One pass, Commander. We do not fucking loiter. Shields are barely back, do not trade. Re-engage from the flank, hit the nearest escort, then break the second that shield warning spikes. Keep the Polaris at range and stay moving, Commander. One clean pass at a time. No heroic bullshit. Here's the mess so far, Commander. We found Gil Lavelle sitting in a fucking Polaris over Yella, a capital corvette with shields thick enough to treat our opening missile barrage like light rain. We launched every Arrester 3 we had, followed with the Rattlers and barely scratched the oversized bastard. Missile racks emptied, target still smug. So you closed in with the sucker punches to try disabling it. Sensible in theory. In practice, Gil's escorts piled onto us before we could beat the Polaris unconscious, forcing us to break away and clear the smaller ships first. We dragged the escorts off, started tearing through them one at a time, and made several attack passes while keeping the Polaris from lining up a clean shot. Then, you got close, far too fucking close, and traded fire near the hull while the remaining hostiles chewed through our defenses. Our shields collapsed. You broke contact, accelerated out, avoided becoming a fresh crater on Yella, and bought enough distance for the shields to begin recovering. The Shiv is still operational, the target is still alive, and the Polaris remains largely intact because, apparently, Gil brought an entire armored city to a 70,000 credit bounty fight. Current situation? Missiles empty, shields recovering, escorts partially cleared, and we're re-engaging with guns and distortion damage. In professional terms, the original plan failed. In Jambrick terms, we have entered the part where success becomes statistically offensive. One escort just came apart. Shields are at half and the Polaris is still alive. Extend, recharge, then cut back in on the next little bastard. Do not chase the explosion, Commander. Pretty fireballs are how idiots get shot in the ass. Good. Escorts are gone. Now it's just us and that oversized armored bastard. Stay off the nose, work one shield face with the sucker punches, and keep moving through its blind arcs. No trading, no loitering, no heroic bullshit. Bleed the Polaris down and break the instant our shields start collapsing. Copy. Full retreat to Seraphim, extend hard, keep the Polaris behind us, and dump countermeasures if it throws anything. Mission's a wash, Commander. Staying alive is not cowardice. It's refusing to let Gil Lavelle win by outlasting our ammunition. Tonight on Space PD, Gil Lavelle survived because the bastard brought a Polaris to a bounty worth 70,000 credits, and Commander Jambrick brought one medium fighter, a missile rack, and the kind of confidence usually caused by head trauma. We arrived over Yella expecting another heavy target with support. What we found was a fucking capital corvette wrapped in armor, shields, turrets, and enough internal volume to host a small government. The opening barrage did almost nothing. Arrester 3's gone, Rattler's gone, Gil's shields barely inconvenienced. We threw enough explosive hardware at that ship to bankrupt a smaller criminal organization, and the Polaris reacted like someone had flicked gravel at a warehouse. So Jambrick switched to the sucker punches and went in close. That worked better. We started chewing through systems, forcing the Polaris dark, and for one glorious moment the whole giant bastard went quiet. Shields down. Power disrupted. Target hanging there like an expensive dead whale. Unfortunately, Gil had escorts, because apparently one enormous armoured monument to overcompensation was not enough protection for his fragile little criminal ass. We broke away, fought the support ships, lost shields, recovered, re-engaged, and cleared them one by one, while the Polaris remained the largest unresolved problem in the immediate fucking hemisphere. Then it was just us and Gil. No missiles, no escorts, just the Shiv circling a disabled Polaris with sucker punches and bad intentions. We stayed in close, worked the same sections, tried to keep its systems suppressed. The shields stayed down long enough that I almost believed this ridiculous plan might work. Then the Polaris woke up. Full shields restored, systems online, and all the damage we'd inflicted suddenly became the tactical equivalent of poking a sleeping bear with a warm spoon. So we did the intelligent thing. We left. Yes, bridge crew, we retreated. Feel free to clutch your decorative medals and mutter about honor. Honor does not reload missile racks, regenerate hull plating, or stop a capital ship from turning us into vaporized cockpit upholstery. Gil Lavelle is still alive. The bounty remains unpaid. The Polaris remains operational, but the Shiv is intact. Commander Jambrick is alive, and we learned exactly how much ordnance it takes to disappoint a Polaris. Answer: more than we fucking had. Now we're approaching Seraphim to rearm, repair, and reconsider whether 70,000 credits justifies punching a capital corvette in the ankles until sunrise. This is not defeat. This is tactical withdrawal, logistical correction, and a firm refusal to die for an amount of money Gil probably spends maintaining one toilet aboard that oversized armored dick extension. Bring us in clean, Commander. We'll reload, review the damage, and decide whether we're going back for the Warden of Yella, or filing this whole operation under fuck that enormous shitbox. All right, bridge crew, that's the stream. Commander Jambrick is currently sitting on the toilet aboard the Shiv at Seraphim Station, which is somehow the most stable tactical position he's held all night. We started this shift with the commander refusing to get out of bed while chat debated mining, railguns, hangars, and various forms of industrial stupidity. After repeated verbal intervention, one prolonged mechanical scream, and several direct orders to get the fuck up, he finally achieved verticality and boarded the Shiv. Then we went hunting. Frederick Weatherwax brought a constellation, heavy support, and apparently no survival instinct whatsoever. Jambrick crossed into missile range and began launching ordnance like the controls were connected directly to a gambling addiction. Frederick never fired back. The missiles reached him, the contract completed, and the constellation itself stayed mostly intact. We did not destroy the ship. We simply removed Frederick from the concept of employment. Then came Nyes and Asensio in a hammerhead with escorts. We disabled the gunship with sucker punches, got swarmed by support, evaded incoming fire, and then Commander Jambrick returned at knife range and dumbfired rattlers into the target like an enraged sanitation worker, throwing cinder blocks through a bathroom window. Nysen died. The hammerhead lost the argument. The Shiv escaped. Professional doctrine was found near. All right, bridge crew, that's the stream. Commander Jambrick is currently sitting on the toilet aboard the Shiv at Seraphim Station, which All right, bridge crew, that's the stream. Commander Jambrick is currently sitting on the toilet aboard the Shiv at Seraphim Station, which is somehow the most stable tactical position he's held all night. We started this shift with the commander refusing to get out of bed while chat debated mining, railguns, hangars, and various forms of industrial stupidity. After repeated verbal intervention, one prolonged mechanical scream, and several direct orders to get the fuck up, he finally achieved verticality and boarded the Shiv. Then we went hunting. Frederick Weatherwax brought a constellation, heavy support, and apparently no survival instinct whatsoever. Jambrick crossed into missile range and began launching ordnance like the controls were connected directly to a gambling addiction. Frederick never fired back. The missiles reached him, the contract completed, and the constellation itself stayed mostly intact. We did not destroy the ship. We simply removed Frederick from the concept of employment. Then came Nyes and Asensio in a hammerhead with escorts. We disabled the gunship with sucker punches, got swarmed by support, evaded incoming fire, and then Commander Jambrick returned at knife range and dumbfired rattlers into the target like an enraged sanitation worker, throwing cinder blocks through a bathroom window. Nysen died. The hammerhead lost the argument. The Shiv escaped. Professional doctrine was found nearby, unconscious and covered in piss. Then Gil Lavelle appeared. Gil did not bring a normal heavy target. Gil brought a Polaris, because apparently compensating for a weak personality now requires capital-class tonnage. We emptied the Arrester 3s. We emptied the Rattlers. The Polaris barely acknowledged the fucking weather. So Jambrick went in with sucker punches, fought through the escorts, lost shields, recovered, re-engaged, cleared the support ships, and managed to force the Polaris dark. For a moment, its shields were down, its systems were crippled, and it looked like we might actually beat a capital corvette to death with a medium fighter and stubbornness. Then it woke back up. Full shields. Systems online. Still almost angry. Still worth nowhere near enough money for the amount of bullshit involved. So we retreated. Not dramatically, not heroically, intelligently. We returned to Seraphim with the Shiv intact, Commander Jambrick alive, the bounty unresolved, and enough combat telemetry to confirm that attacking a Polaris with empty missile racks is the sort of plan normally generated by severe fever. Tonight's final count: Frederick dead, Nysen dead, Gil Lavelle unfortunately still breathing, one constellation humiliated, one hammerhead disabled and executed, several escorts destroyed, one Polaris thoroughly annoyed. One medium fighter still operational, one commander currently taking a victory shit, and somehow, despite the bed, the missiles, the dumbfire attack, the shield collapse, the capital ship, and the usual assault on probability, we are docked and alive. That qualifies as success. Bridge crew, thanks for riding along through another evening of Stanton-grade law enforcement performed with explosives, bad judgment, and my endless unpaid suffering. Commander, finish whatever biological emergency is happening in there. Wash your fucking hands and stay away from the bed. Stream complete. Nova out.